you think qualified students struggle? Why do you think they struggle to get interviews, even if they do have the education?
Yeah. I mean, truthfully, a lot of the times people struggle to get interviews because, like what I'll say most recently and to keep it topical is that AI, we are seeing it in a lot of cover letters and that in higher education generally is that that we are not a field where we are AI like prominent. So meaning that most of our functions, our sectors, et cetera, we are using AI as a supplement and not the guiding.
That's so true.
So yeah, so like even if you have an ATS system, I know people like really are like worried, like, oh, my cover letter's not going to pass this, or my resume's not going to pass this AI, why should I even bother? One, always bother. Like, if you already take yourself out of the running for a job description, like, you've already not applied. And so you've already lost the chance to even put yourself in contention. But the second part is that, again, we're a field where even if we have ATS systems, there's always going to be a human reviewer after it. Kind of really goes back to the whole point of because our positions can be very general, our job titles can be very general, the more that you can personalize your application, the better. I always tell people, when you're applying for a role, I already want you to be thinking about what you'd be saying in an interview. And some people, it's very easy to say, okay, I'm going to put one cover letter out for this, admin coordinator role, and that's it. But again, if you don't specify why this department, why this, why work with this group of students, it's just going to blend in.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, with AI, I like to think of it this way. It's like if you run your cover letter, your job application materials through AI and it doesn't catch like what you're trying to relate to, it is very then unlikely that a human reviewer is going to do it too. So I always say like run it through both, like run it through where you're comparing your job description to your cover letter, to your resume, find those gaps. And don't look at those gaps as like, oh, I don't have that yet. I like to read it as, do I have this? And I actually forgot to write about it or like it didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Um, and then especially when it comes into higher education, the more that you can relate to the students that you'd be working with is also a big factor as well. So, when I remember when I was putting together, like, I actually looked back at the cover letter for that my first role and then compared it to this role. So the thing that I used to compare my experience, like when I was applying for that first job was that one, I had been working in workplace development part-time. Like I used to be a site monitor for SYEP. So I was relating that role to like, okay, I know I can help with like placements and internships in that way. And then the second part was that I actually kind of talked about how like I tried internships before. They weren't the fit for me, but I understood the value of them. And I kind of think that speaks to people who are kind of curious about like what department should I go into, et cetera, whatnot. Then when I looked at my cover letter for this role, yes, I heavily, relied on the fact that I was a part of the program myself. But I think the thing that I was more like really looking to stick to was that, higher education is a hard field to get into. So, but, the more that there's support for those programs, the better. Like, there is an argument that, schools lose money and we have to do a lot more with less. But, the more that you kind of just like I'm very persistent when it comes to making sure that things get done or like if even if they can't get done, I kind of make it obvious like, okay, we need to put this on the back burner and the back burner is actually like not that far behind.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of making sure that like being at the forefront of these issues and sort of like making sure that people are talking about them, even when when they
Yeah.
don't feel like priorities to people, like that to me feels so important to help people kind of get through that, and push through those, job applications sometimes because it is hard to stand out in a pool of like, 100 applicants, what feels like AI slop, da 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 da. I know I completely went off topic, but I feel
No,
like the
it's
note taker is going to
okay.
help.